What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you 4 different ways to make tofu. Tofu has become my favorite food. It's just so versatile. My favorite way to make tofu is to bake it, so all 4 of these recipes are going to be for baked tofu. Tofu just has such a terrible reputation. People hate on tofu so much, but you know, it's all in how you season it. That's what everyone says. Recipe number 1 is for breaded tofu nuggets. This recipe is so easy. You just shake all the ingredients together in a large container or a Ziploc bag and then bake it in the oven. Recipe number 2 is for tofu bacon pieces. These are so good on top of a salad or like in a wrap. Recipe number 3 is going to be pretty similar to number 2, but it is for tofu ground beef crumbles. Once again, really easy. You just mix all the ingredients together, crumble your tofu, and then bake it. Recipe number 4 is for orange tofu. It's just baked tofu and then you simmer a sauce on the stovetop. Really easy. So yeah, before we get into the video, make sure you subscribe and give this video a big thumbs up because it really helps out my videos. All these videos are gonna be on my blog, shantiveggie.com. So go check it out if you want like a written out format. Okay, let's get into these recipes. So for recipe number 1, I'm gonna make breaded tofu nuggets. This is the recipe I make most often. It is so easy and delicious. First thing you're gonna wanna do is open up your tofu packages. You just take a knife and cut around the sides of the tofu package and then drain out the water over a sink because it's full of liquid. And then you're gonna wanna press your tofu to get some of the liquid out. So this is how I do it. There's all different ways that you can press tofu, but I usually wrap mine in 1 layer of paper towels, and then I wrap that in a dish towel. And I like to wrap it in a paper towel first so that it doesn't get like linty from the dish towel. And then you take your wrapped tofu and then I put it on a cutting board with a cast iron skillet on top of it, and that will just help get out some of the excess moisture. I leave it there for like, I don't know, sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes. It just depends on how much of a rush I'm in. So yeah, that is step number 1 on how to prepare your tofu. This is how it comes out. It's not like super dry. It still has like a little bit of moisture in it, which is gonna be good because for the first recipe, we need the seasonings to like stick to it. This is 2 packages of tofu for the first recipe. When I make this recipe, I like to make a pretty large amount so that I can eat it for a few days, so I'm not like always making tofu every single night. So yeah, that was a lot of explanation before we even got started. Oh yeah, and then I just cut it up into squares. I have a large container here. You could also use a Ziploc bag, like a gallon size one. First, I'm gonna mix up our spices. I'll try to be precise for this video. So the first thing we have is some cornstarch. I'm gonna use about a tablespoon of that. Stuff is always so messy. And then I do a big sprinkle of garlic powder. Usually when I'm cooking and testing out recipes, I just like eyeball everything and then I have no idea what to write down for my blog, so I'll measure today. One time I was cooking for my friend back at home. He was like, "What's that one seasoning that you always use? It always has the same flavor." And we came to figure out that it was garlic and onion powder. I'm gonna do actually 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. So yeah, I guess I put too much garlic and onion powder in my food because my friend noticed it and he said it was too much. You don't need this if you don't have a Trader Joe's near you, but I'm gonna be using their vegan chickenless seasoning salt. I'm gonna do 1 teaspoon. Next, I have some Italian herbs. Let's also do a teaspoon of this. Some smoked paprika. This is another one of my favorite spices. I would say if I had to pick like 3 spices, it would be garlic powder, chicken seasoning salt, and smoked paprika. Those are like my trinity. Do a ½ teaspoon. Next, I'm gonna do 1 tablespoon of nutritional yeast. And this is gonna be our breading. I'm using almond flour instead of like breadcrumbs. And I'm just gonna mix all of our dry spices together. I'm gonna add another ½ teaspoon of chicken seasoning salt, and I think it needs more garlic powder. I'm gonna add more smoked paprika. That should be good. Okay, and this is our breading. You're just gonna add the 2 packages of chopped up tofu in the container, and you just shake it up. Yay, it looks so good. Okay, I think it needs to be shaken more. One more shake. Next, you get your baking sheet, and I'm gonna oil up the pan. You could also just use parchment paper. I feel like parchment paper is a way easier cleanup, but if you use oil, like the bottom will get a little bit crispy, which is nice. This is how I apply my oil. I just massage it with my hand. Okay, if you shake the tofu too much, the breading kind of falls off, so you have to like shake it just the perfect amount. My breading is kind of falling off. Pop these in the oven for about 25 minutes at 400 degrees. Since the first try, the breading kind of fell off because I shook it too much. I made it a second time and I didn't shake it as much, and I used a bag, and as you can see, it worked way better. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Messed up a little bit. So yeah, I'm gonna pop this on another baking sheet and put this in the oven for about 25 minutes, and I'll show you how it comes out. So here is how the first batch came out. It really isn't that bad, but I did put the second batch in the oven. As you can see, that one is way more covered, but this one did get really nice and crispy. And this is the second batch I made, just shaking it gently in a bag. It came out way better. All the seasonings stuck way better. And I like to eat this tofu recipe in a wrap like this or on top of a salad. Let's move on to recipe number 2. The next recipe I'm gonna show you is for tofu bacon pieces. I have one block of tofu that I pressed for just like 5 minutes, and then I crumbled it up with my hands. So for our bacon marinade, I'm gonna use some soy sauce. And once again, I'm gonna write down the exact amounts in the blog post down below. So check that out for the exact measurements. 1 and 2. Next, I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. A tiny splash of liquid smoke. So I do like a 1/4 teaspoon. Oh, that was a lot. 1 tablespoon of nutritional yeast. A 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm gonna add some smoked paprika. Mix all that together. Pour your marinade into your tofu and mix it together. I have my other baking sheet here. It's all scratched up, so I'm gonna use some parchment paper. And you wanna take your tofu and spread it out. This is what the tofu looks like all spread out on the baking sheet. I'm gonna put this in the oven for like 30 minutes and flip it around halfway through. So this is how the tofu bacon pieces come out after they're done cooking. My favorite way to eat these is as a salad topping. I just store it in a container in my fridge for a couple days. And I also use these tofu bacon crumbles in this recipe for baked potato skins. You can also find this recipe on my blog. They came out so delicious. For the next recipe, I'll be making tofu taco meat. So start out by just crumbling your block of tofu in a bowl like we did for the bacon pieces. Once again, I'm using firm tofu that I pressed for like 10 minutes. Then to your tofu, add some soy sauce, a few dashes of Worcestershire sauce, a 1/2 cup of no salt added marinara sauce or tomato sauce, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of cumin, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, some smoked paprika and black pepper, and a dash of cayenne. Mix all those together really well and sort of break up the tofu as you mix it. Once again, take your baking sheet and spread out some oil on it. Then spread out your taco meat on the baking sheet. I baked it same as the bacon crumbles, 400 degrees, 20 minutes, and then flip it over for another 10 minutes. This is how they come out before you flip them over. So just kind of scrape it off the sides and then it'll look like that. Pop it back in the oven for another 10 minutes. And this is how they turn out once they're done cooking. For my tacos, I just made this homemade pico really fast, really easy. And then I also made a really simple sour cream using this Kite Hill yogurt. I added a squeeze of lemon and a pinch of salt. And then for my tacos, I heated up a corn tortilla, put on my tofu taco meat. This taco sauce is really good. It's from Whole Foods. Pour some of that on top. And then I layered on my homemade salsa and Kite Hill sour cream. This recipe came out so good. I will definitely be making this more often for dinner. such a delicious and easy recipe. Recipe number 4 is going to be for baked orange tofu. Instead of the firm tofu I've been using, I'm going to be using this Trader Joe's super firm high protein tofu, and this one you don't really need to press, you can just kind of pat it dry. It's already really firm, so I just cut that up into squares. In a Ziploc bag, add in 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a tablespoon of cornstarch, and mix all that together before you add in your tofu, and then close the bag and shake it up. Please excuse my ugly pan. It got like burnt in the oven. I know I have one nice pan and one ugly pan, and this is my ugly pan. But anyways, I just greased up the pan a little bit. The oil on the pan helps get the sides nice and crispy. This is just a really basic baked tofu recipe. You can use it with like any different type of sauces or just eat it as is. It's really good just as is. But for the orange sauce, I'm gonna use 1 cup of orange juice, tablespoon of soy sauce, 3 tablespoons of maple syrup, 3 cloves of garlic, 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar, half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes, and about a teaspoon of orange zest. Make sure you don't get the white part because then it'll be pretty bitter. And then you're just gonna bring those ingredients to a simmer and then add in a tablespoon of cornstarch slurry, and then just simmer those together for like 5 minutes, and then turn the heat off and it will thicken up, and then add in your tofu. And then I just served it with some black rice. Super delicious. Well, that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for joining me and watching my recipes and watching me cook. Like I said in the beginning of the video, you can check out all these recipes on my blog. If you want a written out version, I will link it down below. Make sure you like and subscribe before you go because it really helps support my channel. Let me know what other types of videos you want to see, and that's about it. I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.